Hello and welcome to the podcast, The Breathing Body. In this podcast, I invite you to journey through conversations which share the fascination of the physical matter we inhabit, the breathing body. We will explore its inherent intelligence, movement, healing, and much more. My name is Florina and I'm the host of this podcast. I'm an osteopath with a background in dance and yoga, and I'm currently based in London where I practice, lecture and research. And I'm so happy that you are here. Thank you. I'm super excited today to share with you my first solo episode from heart to heart and body to body. Yes, our body is our best teacher, and this asks for connection, listening, and very conscious and with lots of awareness experience of the body we inhabit. And in this episode, I'd love to share with you what the breathing body means to me and how I access it through movement, touch, images, and imaginations, which is what I call a poetic approach to human anatomy. And maybe today just give you a glimpse of something I hope to explore in more depth and detail in the future. I hope you feel inspired, maybe as you listen or any time after, to take a break, pause, lean back, rest into yourself, and enjoy a sense of expanding space within and around you as your whole being comes to stillness. On Facebook or Instagram or any podcast platform you are tuning into from, what's the breathing body means to you? For me, the breathing body to me is a spacious body, a soft body, a receptive body, receptive in the sense of a body which is able to sense, to feel, a sensing, a feeling body, a body which is alert, has the ability to adapt, has mutability, a versatile body, a strong body, soft strongness, a connected body. The breathing body for me, I think, is a body in motion and a body in tune with its own rhythm and song, a body which is dancing and singing its melody. A body which is allowed, is given the space to express itself in the way it really wants to express itself. The breathing body to me is a body which is connected to the space around and to the people around, to the beings around, to the motion around. A body which is connected to below and above and all around, and able to receive and equally to share. And with all these qualities, for me, the breathing body is a body which is given the space to be or become my or our best teacher, and a body which is able to reveal the inherent wisdom it always wanted to reveal and it never does not want to reveal. Yeah, I think for me, the breathing body is moving, spacious, and soft. And interestingly, early on today, I fell over the quote right now. I just forgot the name. It was from, I'll post it in the show notes. The quote which goes, "Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive. And go do that, because what the world needs is people who have come alive." And in that moment, I thought and felt this is such an inspiring quote. It made me realize, yes, what makes me feel alive is to connect to my own body, to this physical matter through touch and movements, and to witness how sensation leads to movements and how movement allows my body to undo, unravel, unwind, reveal, and heal. And the thought of sharing with you some of the inputs or practices I personally do to access these qualities of spaciousness and softness and undoing makes me even more alive. So here we go. One really important practice, or is it a practice, component, ingredient, which I access is the grounds. The grounds, Mother Earth, and support from underneath. I love the practice of taking off my socks and really massage my feet. I love to wrap both my hands around my feet. Just give them a good squeeze, rub. Yeah, try to melt and merge my fingers into these spaces which so rarely are touched between my toes, on top of my feet, into the sole of my feet, as if I try to melt my fingers in between all these many bones which make up my feet, and to really awaken the thousands of sensory nerve endings in my feet, which are there just ready to connect, to sense. And I feel to wrap my hands around my feet and give them a good squeeze. Yes, it does feel like I awaken my feet, and I prepare them or I create the resources for my feet to connect to the ground, to Mother Earth, and to sense the support from underneath. And I love to allow this whole underside of my feet then after to spread into the ground. I imagine growing deep roots. In my experience, there is so much wisdom, energy, yes, all I need to know and ever access, I feel is there, like a bubbling, sparkling, radiating crystal or a sun, a big flower, whatever it is for you, is just there underneath my feet, rising up from Mother Earth. And I feel how in Earth, how possibly can I access all this knowledge and wisdom if I don't allow my body, if I don't allow myself to get in touch with my body, and especially with my feet, which inherently are very often the two body parts which create the bridge from my body to the ground, to the earth, and to that wisdom revealing itself from the earth through my body and into my consciousness. And I would encourage you, try it out. It's such a wonderful feeling after you have squeezed your feet to sense the awakened soul of the feet spreading and nesting into the ground, into the grass, into the sandy beach, into the earthy fields. And just try it out. What does it with you? What do you experience? What do you sense? And yeah, again, the grounds, Mother Earth, and the support from underneath. My second practice, which I do every day, and I think I could spend my life doing that, is resting on my back and rolling on my back from side to side like a baby. I love to rest on my back, usually with my knees half bent, and to really drop into the backside of my body. The mantra I tell myself or I experience then is to widen the back, and soften the front. I feel the more I drop into the backside of my body, the more my whole backside, like spreading wings, starts to widen, like a big ball starts to appear, and the whole front body is allowed to soften. It's a widening and spreading in the back and a softening in the front. And that's often the moment where I feel, wow, I can actually just literally perceive and receive my body. And by perceiving, receiving it, I cannot not get in touch with it. And suddenly it's in these moments where I get these wonderful messages and impulses from my body, which again is my best teacher. And also interestingly, isn't it, when we are in stress and fight and flight, our whole focus goes forward. We close the front, we run forward, our whole attention is in the face, the eyes, the forward, where I go to. And very often I feel we completely disconnect with the backside. And that made me realize, if I then consciously, physically connect with the backside of my body, actually I access that more parasympathetic state, that state which does allow myself to rest, digest, and to come back to a much more neutral and receptive state. Yielding, surrender, these are other words I engage with. When I rest on the back and I just connect to the back side of my body, sometimes like a body scan, I just start to notice, what are all these places, these parts of my body which right now meet and touch the ground? And I feel that these are the places from which I can actually start to surrender and yield even more. It's actually also a practice of melting, of finding these soft strengths, these sweet spots. And the other thing, after I squeeze my feet and align my back, I love to do is to just notice the movement of my breath without trying to change it, just noticing. Literally just noticing how my breath is moving my body right now. Knowing it's always there, it's always supporting. And I feel, as I start to just notice the movement of my breath, usually automatically the movement of my breath and my breathing starts to change. Usually it becomes calmer, but also more expansive. It starts to fill my body much more. It starts to fill places and areas it wasn't able to reach before. And I love to suddenly then put the emphasis on the exhale. So often I find myself being so busy with breathing in, and completely missing that powerful, potent moment of the exhale. And the words I use there, which I got from my wonderful teacher, Eva, is, as I exhale, I would just, in my mind, repeat the words, emptying, letting go, and finding weight. Really allow that whole exhale to actually being breathed out, to emptying. Allow my body to let go, and whilst my body lets go, to find the weights my body inherently does want to reveal to me. And it's in these moments, in this actual break which happens after each exhale, where I feel space arises. Suddenly there is space, and I'm creating space by just starting to witness the movement of my breath. That's what I call the art of creating space. And that's what I wish to explore much more, experience more in my life. And then again, the more my body lets go, the more it receives the support from underneath, and there is lightness and there is space. And within all these three practices, which I find so potent, supportive, is to know for myself that there is a life force, there is an inherent intelligence, there is something, knowing something is there bigger than myself. I don't know yet what that means, but something bigger than I could ever imagine. There is some kind of a life force of an inherent intelligence which is guiding, supporting, and carrying me. In osteopathy, we call it the breath of life, tides. I know the more I become still and allow the space within to unfold, the more my body starts to decompress, and the more there is connection. A connection to the world around, the people around, connection to an overarching rhythm, movement, and I think connection to what might be the breath of life or the life force. It was maybe 3 years back when I listened to an embryology lecture from a wonderful osteopath called Jane Eastie, and she shared that saying that anatomy is the crystallization of the breath of life. And that really inspired me. And suddenly I start to imagine, wow, if I would dive in, zoom in closer and closer into the molecules and atoms and the actual physical cells and things which make up my body, the more I would zoom in, the more there would probably suddenly be pure breath, pure energy, which is motion. And it made me realize, imagine, or want to explore that my physical structure is so much more softness and spaciousness than I probably ever thought it would be when I physically touch my arm, for example. And it made me realize that, yes, I am motion, I am breath, I am the wonder which sometimes I try so hard to experience through things and practices, and with so much effort sometimes, even myself, I try to squeeze myself through a yoga class or whatever it is, when actually it is there. And all it requires is this deep relationship of listening. Yes, I think the practices which I do to connect with the breathing body are all around developing a sensory vocabulary. And all these practices do create space and softness within, allow myself to listen even deeper, to create the space to listen deeper, and the space for answers to arise. And again, this is what makes my heart sing and what makes me feel alive. And I would like to ask you, what makes your heart sing? What makes you feel alive? And what is the answer to that question? What happens if you ask yourself that question right now? What does your mind, your body say? And if you then rest for half an hour or 15 minutes, just drop into your body, connect to the movement of your breath, to the weight of your body, and then ask yourself again, what makes my heart sing? What makes me feel alive? And I'd be very interested to hear, was there a difference in these two answers? I think in these moments when I am really deeply connected to the felt experience of my body, and I then ask myself this question, this is when I get a glimpse of what might be my true heart-filled purpose and calling. And yes, this is how I feel our body is our best teacher. And for it to teach us, it needs attention. compassionate, kind, loving attention. It needs to nurture and facilitate qualities through which its wisdom can literally penetrate through our physical nature and reveal itself. My body says yes. And I invite you through this podcast to receive your body as well and to open to these spaces. And I feel if my body is my best teacher, then it needs a body of softness, of space, of motion, of flow. I very much enjoyed to share this episode with you and to share with you what the breathing body means to me and what practices or tools or images are which I use on a daily basis to explore this journey, the breathing body, which it is a journey, and I don't think that we're ever there. It's an invitation to lifelong exploration with a very curious and playful mind. And I hope my thoughts inspired you as well to explore things I suggested, and I invite you with the physical breath as a metaphor. I invite you to engage with the movement of your body, the movement within, which is life and health, which is your body saying yes, always wanting to unfold, always knowing best. It is all in us. And I hope that as the podcast goes along through all the conversations I have lined up, that we all receive more guidance and inputs and ideas on that journey, which is a dance of sensing, moving and healing. I'm very much looking forward to hear from you. Please leave me a comment on Instagram, Facebook, or here on Spotify or whatever podcast platform you are listening to. And also, as always, a huge thank you to the band Aspirian for the wonderful, spacious, breathing intro and outro music. Go well, lots of love, Florina.